This lesson is on combining like terms. If you've already seen my introduction to combining like terms in my analogy of the apple and pineapple, then you can skip ahead to the examples. So this lesson is going to include addition and subtraction. My introduction to combining like terms was only addition. If you haven't seen that, then you're going to get the whole thing. So let's talk a little terminology here. You see this expression 2x plus 3x. The letter x is what we call a variable, and a variable just represents a number. So x represents a number, but we don't know what the value of x is in this expression. Could be any number. Could be 2, 3, -7, anything. You get to choose. That's why it's called a variable, because it can vary. The number in front of the variable is called a coefficient. So 2 is the coefficient of x, and 3 is the coefficient of this x. So now you're probably wondering, why is there an apple and a pineapple on the screen? Well, when I teach combining like terms, I like to talk about apples and pineapples, as weird as that might sound. So if you're combining like terms, you can only combine things that are alike. That's why it's called like terms. So for instance, if you go to the store and you buy 2 apples, and then later on you realize you want some more and you go buy 3 more apples, how many apples do you have? You have 5. So you bought 2 apples and 3 more apples. Likewise with pineapples. Let's say you went and bought 2 pineapples and then you decided you wanted 1 more. Now you have a total of 3 pineapples. But what you can't do is combine apples and pineapples together. So you can't say, you can't buy 2 apples and then buy 3 pineapples and say I have 5, I don't even know what you would call that. Pineapple, I don't know. But you can't combine them, right? So if you had 2 apples and 3 pineapples, you would just say I have 2 apples and I have 3 pineapples. I guess you could say you have 5 pieces of fruit, but that doesn't work in math. Okay, we can't create another variable, a new word for it. So what does that have to do with this? So if we call the apples our x variable and the pineapples our y variables, this first example here, you've got 2x plus 3x. These are like terms. These are both apples. So you have 2 apples plus 3 apples. So I can simplify that to say that I have 5 apples or 5x. Combining like terms is about simplifying. It's about taking an expression and writing it in a simpler way. So 2x plus 3x can be simplified to 5x. If we look at the next example, 2y plus y, the coefficient of this y is actually 1, but we don't write it because you could say I have 1 pineapple, or you could say I have a pineapple. It means the same thing. So we don't write the 1 because it's not necessary, and we always like to write things in the simplest way we can. So 2 pineapples plus another pineapple gives you 3 pineapples, or 2y plus y equals 3y. So here's an example of trying to combine apples and pineapples together. 2x plus 3y, you can't combine those together. They do not have the same, what we call variable factor. So this is as simple as you can write it. Okay, so if you're asked to simplify 2x plus 3y, the answer would be 2x plus 3y. Now, numbers are also like terms. You've been combining them for as long as you've been doing math. You weren't told that they were called like terms. But of course, you can combine 2 and 3 together to get 5. Now, when I have multiple variables and numbers and I'm combining them together, keep in mind there could be other variables besides x and y. For these examples today, I'm going to show you it's just x and y, but you could have a, b, c, x, y, z. There's no limit to the number of variables that you can have. Okay, so when we combine them, we want to put the letters of the variables first, and we want them to be in alphabetical order. So if I was combining an expression that had x's and y's, I would combine the x's first, then the y's, and then last is any numbers that don't have a variable. So let's look at some examples of this. So here's this expression, 9 minus 3x minus y plus 9x minus 8y minus 2. So we've got numbers, we've got x's, we have y's. We want to simplify this by combining the things together that can be combined together. So we're going to combine the x's together we're going to combine the y's together, and we're going to combine the numbers together. Now, I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to put the x's first, and then the y's, and then the numbers, and then I'm going to combine them. Now, here's where this gets, and you have to be careful. The symbol, the operation in front of the coefficient belongs to it. So this minus sign belongs to this 3x. It does not belong to the 9, it belongs to this. Likewise, this plus sign belongs to the 9x. So when I move these, I have to take that symbol with me. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to move these to the front because, again, I want them in alphabetical order. So the x's are going to come first. Now, notice that minus sign now is a negative sign. But don't be confused by that, okay? Negative 3x plus 9x. So again, I took the minus sign with it. I took the plus sign with it. And now let's do the same thing with y's. So I'm going to move the y's. And I'm going to take the symbol in front of them with them. So minus y minus 8y. And then last, I'm going to move the numbers. So there's no symbol in front of this 9. This is a positive 9, right? So when I move this, the symbol that I'm going to move with it is a positive sign or a plus sign. If this was a negative 9, there would be a symbol there and I would bring it with me. But we don't write the positive sign. We assume when you see a number, if there's no symbol in front of it, it's positive. Okay, so I'm going to move the 9. And again, the symbol that's in front of it is that. We just didn't have it written because we didn't need to, because in math, we assume if there's nothing there, it's a positive. And then the minus sign comes with the 2. Okay, so I've moved everything around. I put the x's first, then the y's, then the numbers. And the key thing, the most important thing here, is that the symbol in front of it has to go with it. And now I'm going to find the like terms. So I'm going to combine these x's or these apples together. So I have negative 3x plus 9x. That's positive 6x. I'm going to combine the pineapples or the y's together. Remember, the coefficient on this y is 1. If you want to write the 1 there, you're welcome to write it. We don't write it because it's not necessary. We just know that it's there. So this says negative 1 minus 8. Again, the symbol belongs to this, right? So I'm just looking at this right here, and that says negative 1 minus 8. That's negative 9y. I'm going to combine the numbers together. This is a positive 9 minus 2. That's 7, and it's a positive 7, right? So now if you look at what I have here, let me just write this here. 6x minus 9y plus 7. That's a simplified version of what we started with. Mathematically, they're equivalent. So I combine the x's together, I combine the y's together, and I combine the numbers together. And this minus sign came from this being negative 9y when I combined them. And this plus sign came from this being a positive 7. So if this was a negative 7, when I added those, this would be a minus sign here. Okay, so this would be the simplified version after combining like terms. All right, let's look at one more example. Remember, if you're confused on this, back it up and watch it again. That's the advantage of learning through a video, is you can back it up and you can watch it again. All right, so again, I just gave us x's, y's, and numbers. You could have more variables than this, but for this lesson, I'm just using x and y. So again, let's combine the x's together. So I have an x here. And again, I'm doing the x's first because x comes first in the alphabet. If you had A, B, and C, you would do A first. And in this example, there are actually 3 x's to combine together. So all I'm going to do is take these boxes, and I'm going to write them next to each other here. So I'm going to write down this box, write down this box, And I'm going to write down this box. And remember, there's a coefficient of 1 on this x that's not written. So this is actually negative 1x. And let's put the y's next. And there's only one y here, so I'm just going to bring that down. And then last, I'm going to bring the numbers down. So I have a positive 8 plus 3. All right, so let's combine these together. So the x's I can combine together. Remember, there's a coefficient of 1, so this is negative 1 plus 6 minus 8. So negative 1 plus 6 is positive 5. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. The 4y, nothing to combine it with, so I'm just going to bring it down. And then the 8 plus 3 is 11. And it's positive 11, so I'm going to put a plus sign there. So if I just kind of bring this together, I get negative 3x minus 4y plus 11. And that's my simplified version of what we started with. All right, so I hope this was useful. It is a little tricky, so go back and watch it again if you didn't quite catch it. So if this was helpful to you, please give it a like and a subscribe. Until next time.